Alrighty then. Hello everybody. I hope everybody's day is going well. Let's in this video. I know I'm gonna try to do a different intro to see if it's works better than just say hello everybody. Welcome to the. So in this video, I will be talking about cartoons and how cartoons nowadays don't feel the same, or for me, they don't feel the same, or they're not as enjoyable as cartoons that I was growing up, or cartoons even way older than me. So in this video, I will fully give my opinion on why cartoons and why I kind of have given up on cartoons nowadays. So let's get started on this episode of Mr. Weird's Thought Topic. Alrighty then. I don't know if the quality is going to be the same, but I'm recording from my phone because for some reason my camera doesn't want to record and it keeps on shutting down, so I'm going to have to use my phone at this point. So let's get to the point of the video. Cartoons. Why do I say it sucks? It's because I started rewatching old shows that I used to love growing up. Shows that they're still great to this day. But shows nowadays, I don't understand. Like, the humor is not the same. And before I say anything, or for you to say, yes, I know the cartoons now are not for our generation. They're for the new generation, the new kids and stuff like that. And maybe the humor for them isn't the same as ours. That's fine. But the thing is, shows nowadays, they don't make sense in the sense where I had people who loved the shows I grew up as teenagers, as adults, and and there were shows where all ages could enjoy, and the shows I'm talking about is Chowder, Flapjack, Jimmy Neutron, the old Spongebob, because the new Spongebob isn't the same, and I want to say about that in a minute. But shows like Regular Show, Adventure Time, Steven Universe, even though that's still a newer show, it's still one of the old shows, or one of the latest shows or one of the last shows that I can consider that has still had a good plot, or at least had a plot for kind of all ages. Fairly Odd Parents, Kick Patowski, and so many other shows like that. And nowadays, I don't understand the humor. Like, I've tried to watch some of the new shows, and I'm like, why? How is this funny? And it's like, there's nothing I can, And the thing is, cartoons back then, the reason I can say all ages enjoyed them, because there were humors that were, or jokes, or comedy moments that you can tell they were made for older people. Because, for example, I don't know why I repeat that, but Chowder had a lot of comedy moments that I'm rewatching now, and I'm like, I get the joke now. I can understand that's an adult joke right there. Wow, I did not notice that while growing up. And here's, for example, a joke from Chowder that, what I'm talking about. There's a scene from one of the episodes that it's Chowder, Schnitzel, and Mung Dao. They're waiting for some type of dish to be cooked, and they're all three of them just sitting there waiting and waiting. And Mung Dao's like, all right, let's tell some stories or jokes or whatever to pass the time. And of course, Schnitzel has one, and he tells a joke. And back then, when I was little, I was like, I don't understand why Mung Dao's reacting like that. And Chowder's like, but I don't get it. But, and then of course Mung Dao's like, well, you'll understand when you get older. I'll tell you when you get older. But when you're older. But I realized that scene, it's like, Schnitzel just told a dirty or an adult joke. How did I not realize that? And it's because when I realized when I was little, I didn't realize it, but it was still somehow funny, and it was a show that I was like, that's funny. But like, there's shows now like it's just, and that's another thing I want to say. Like, for another type of cartoon that I find so boring or not as enjoyable, or I just feel like it's just like, what the hell, is when they grab a show, and I'm gonna talk type of cartoons that I hate when they do. Part one of it is when they grab a cartoon that I grew up, that my generation grew up, Ben 10, Teen Titans, those kind of cartoons. And all of a sudden, they reboot it for the new generation, and they ruin that. They ruin it. They make the humor not enjoyable. The character, like, I've seen the episodes of the new Ben 10, the new Teen Titans Go, for example, those two. And I'm questioning to this day. They canceled Teen Titans for this shit. They ruined Ben 10 and I think they canceled Omniverse because it wasn't selling as well for audiences and stuff like that, and so they kind of eventually rebooted it. And I'm like, they canceled Omniverse for this crap? Seriously? And like I said, I know it's not an audience for me, or it's for the new generation, but I rather them make a new character similar to Ben 10 and give off that same love, that feeling that I was growing up, and give it to the new generation. But no, they don't do that. They just grab something that I loved, that we loved, and just ruin it. And I know I'm not the only one, because I've met people, I've had this conversation before, where some of my friends, some of the people I also grew up, my best friend grew up watching those shows, and she says the same thing, how, and I don't mind, I don't care. I find it pathetic when they do that. And, I mean, it's, like I said, it is what it is, you know. And another thing is, I hate when they cancel for example, a superhero show. One of the shows that could have been big, great, amazing is Spectacular Spider-Man, Teen Titans. They had a great story. It was a story or moments that I loved. It made me re-love the characters or character. And it was, I felt like perfect for all ages, because Spider-Man or Teen Titans or Avengers, if I'm not correct, against Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes, that was another cartoon show of superhero that I loved. It made me want to learn more about them based on the comics and more about who this character is. But when they reboot it for the new Ultimate Spider-Man show, or the Avengers show, or the Teen Titans Go, or something like that, I can't enjoy it. And it's like, I love how they have a show that's great. And I know sometimes they cancel it because it's not selling well, or it's expensive to make, so they make a cheaper version. But like, it still sucks to see shows like that, you know, or cartoons that I love, but they get canceled. You know, that's also what I want to say, that I kind of gave up on cartoons nowadays. Or I don't watch cartoons nowadays. Because one of the shows I've watched recently, or not too long ago, and I think it's already ended, but it's like Clarence. I watched that show and I was like, what am I watching? Like, what is the point of this show? Like, I don't... Because the reason I say the cartoons that I grew up watching, and the cartoons that even are much older, like Tom and Jerry, the humor was funny. It actually was hilarious. And I don't see new cartoons having that same humor. And the thing is also, like, for example, Flapjack. Flapjack was a show that was random. It was about a small boy who had a pirate as like a mentor and lived in a whale who was also kind of his mother. And they would just do random stuff to find a place called Candy Island at the end. Spoilers if you haven't seen the show or cartoon. Candy Island doesn't exist. It's a made-up show. or it's a made up place. My bad. And it was still interesting, and they had humor. The stories were still like, like West. All that good moments that I grew up, and I can rewatch them and be like, it's weird, but I still love it. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. That show made me want to have an imaginary friend. And to this day, I rewatched that show and I'm like, damn, I can see why I love this show, why this show's still great. Another show that made me love, for example, skateboarding is Kick Buttowski. For those who have not seen that show, it's basically a kid who loved to do extreme stuff, extreme sports or extreme things, like ride his skateboard and do some amazing ass trick or get his bike and, et cetera, et cetera. And that show made me into, or get me want to be a skater or a skateboarder or, stuff like that. But shows now, I don't see that, or just, they don't give off that same entertaining vibe or that kind of influence. Like nowadays, a lot of the humor is fart stuff or it just makes no sense. Like I said, I know I'm gonna keep repeating this. I know it's not for my generation. It's for the new generation. But one show that's still going on that I grew up watching is SpongeBob, and it's a show that it has gone downhill. it was a show that I loved. They have a movie, the first movie, it made me enjoy my childhood. Made me enjoy, I'm a child. Let me enjoy being who I am. But nowadays, that SpongeBob isn't the same. And that's what's sad. And the guy who created SpongeBob originally didn't want SpongeBob to continue because he didn't want that, pointless, or that the show where it gets to a point where it gets already old. It should already end. And, I wish SpongeBob would end. I will admit, I wish SpongeBob would end because it's not the same. And it's sad that, they changed it just for a new audience. Either stop the show or remake a show that's for a new audience. Sometimes, I really hate when they have a show that's what I grew up and just ruin it. And I've already said this before, I've already repeated it. I know I'm repeating a lot of stuff, but it's to get to the point of, and that's why I'll be honest, I watch manga or I watch adult cartoon shows because it's the only way for me to enjoy cartoons. And there are some cartoons that are just shorts that are found in YouTube that are better cartoons, have better animations than shows and TVs. And they're just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30-minute shows or cartoons, simple cartoons that are on YouTube that I find entertaining. Really? Really? And it's sad to see, and also, while I'm talking about cartoons, I've been noticing a lot of TikTokers talk about how cartoons back then in the 50s, old Looney Tunes shows, Tom and Jerry, Popeyes, the Pink Panther, or stuff like that kind of era of cartoons had a lot of messed up things, and people need to understand. And before I say everything I want to say about this, my opinion about this, if I say something that offends you, that bothers you, at least please be respectful. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm not trying to piss anybody off, And it's cartoons back then at that era was made for that generation. Yes, there was a lot of messed up stereotypes, a lot of messed up jokes that made fun of black people, Asian people, or had that stereotype of them. And yes, but while I was growing up, if you didn't tell me about those meanings, to me they were just cartoons. And like I said, people need to understand that era was different. That there was no mixed race of creators. There was only I bet you it was mostly white people. So there was no black person or Asian person or Hispanic person as a creator being like, whoa, 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 I don't think that should be added. And if they were working, I don't think people cared or about their opinion. And I think that's why a lot of their stuff was a green light. Okay, let's do it. Let's add this. Because either their voice was not heard or they didn't care about that. And I think that's why. But if you take besides some of the things, because even though they have a lot of messed up and, you know, and for example, for those who don't know, they tried at some point to cancel and remove Speedy Gonzalez because they thought it was being kind of messed up and racist to Mexicans. Mexicans got mad that they canceled it, and they asked the studio to bring Speedy Gonzalez back. And the thing is, there are some stereotypes in cartoons that if you think about it, oh my, like, when I saw Speedy Gonzalez, I'm like, hey, an actual Mexican character. Yes, that's that kind of stereotype, but it's true. Like, it wasn't that bad stereotype. And I know there are some negative stereotypes with certain races, like black people, like, and it's sad to see that sometimes. But like I said, it was a different era. And the thing is, we shouldn't be mad at that era, but we should realize, okay, we know what they did. When we make cartoons, let's make sure we don't do those things again. Or if we do them the right way. Where it's, you know, and that's why, and the thing is, I want to be an animation designer. I would like to make cartoons one day in my future, even though I want to be a graphic designer, but I still want to grab all the Tom and Jerry humors, all those Popeye humors, the Pink Panther, the Flintstones, and all the Dexter Laboratory cartoons that I used to love watching very, very little, and still bring that kind of cartoon feeling to the next generation, and to understand that this is the cartoon I grew up watching, and this is the cartoon I know you are going to enjoy, and all the adults that are my generation or the previous generation, I'll be like, just smile and be like, I remember when cartoons were like that, and it's great to see. And I want to bring that smile and be like, that's the cartoon, that's great. That's what makes cartoons good. You know, like, I want to bring cartoons where every age can enjoy, where it's a humor for every age, or humors where, like, that's the thing I love about cartoons my generation. It was a humor for every age to understand. And if you were young enough, you didn't understand. When you got older, you understand that joke. So that's kind of why I've stopped watching cartoons now, like, or given up, or just they're not interesting anymore for me. And I'm going to say it once, and I'm going to say it twice, or one last time. I know the humor and the concept is not for my generation, and it's for the new one. But I wish they would still give us cartoons for teenagers and older people. And I know there's adult cartoons like Futurama, Family Guy, Simpsons, and stuff like that for for us to enjoy, adults to enjoy. But I still want to be like, wake up and watch a old or a cartoon and be like, like just still get that feeling of, no matter how old I get, I can still watch cartoons because, but I can't. And that's why, I'll be honest, I stick to anime. Because at least anime, it's... Even the childish animes, they're still good. Like... But that's all I gotta say about cartoons nowadays. Maybe one day I could touch this topic with somebody else and see what they have to say about the new new cartoons, and whether they like it or what they really truly think of it. So yeah, thank you for watching, and thank you for giving me the time to truly give my opinion about cartoons. And I hope, if you guys realize the quality kind of changes, is because I had to go back and forth to my, to record this, and I'll be having technical difficulties at the moment. But like I said, thank you for watching, and let me know what other topics you want me to talk about or give my opinion about or something. So, thank you for watching. And like I always say, I'm weird. Don't judge.